Hey guys, thanks for watching our newest podcast. Before we get started, we would like to tell you about our giveaway we have coming up. You can like, comment, subscribe, and share this video in order to be entered to win a Cracker Barrel gift card. Cracker Barrel is just like a nice southern dinner place. You can get a free entree, dessert, and drinks for two.
At any location.
Yeah, any location. So all you have to do is follow all those things and watch the rest of this video and you'll be entered to win. So we hope you enjoyed the video.
Hope you subscribe. Hey guys, I'm Judy.
And I'm Haley. And welcome to Noodle Brains.
Brains.
So kick off your shoes
Grab your Kool-Aid.
and let's get started. So Judy, I see you're not drinking Kool-Aid today.
I was in a hurry and I grabbed a Gatorade Zero. It's sort of like Kool-Aid.
No, that actually
looks
doesn't
like-
have sugar in it.
It looks like Kool-Aid, but it's not.
So we actually have a special guest here today. So if you'd like to introduce yourself to all of our fans.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and I am visiting my cousin Judy. And I'm just in Alabama for the week. Been hanging out with my family for the week.
I haven't seen you in a couple of years. I'm
Like,
glad
at
to
least
see
5
you.
years.
I know.
So usually on our podcast, we talk about mental health. I am a Fair Queen representative, and my platform is the negative stigma behind mental health medication. I take medication for anxiety and depression, and I'm about to start taking medication for ADHD.
Okay.
So would you like to tell everyone how you connect with mental health?
I would love to. I work for the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network in Georgia. I'm a certified peer specialist. And what that means is that I have lived a life where I have dealt with mental health struggles, and I have learned ways to overcome those mental health struggles, and I do so every day. And part of my routine for myself is also mental health medication. I have physical health issues, I have mental health issues. If I don't take my medications for my physical health issues, I can get very sick. If I don't take my medicine for my mental health issues, I can get very sick. And I was surprised by this today, and I'm just excited. And
You're here for a reason.
I am always, you're never anywhere without supposed to be.
That's right.
So, excuse my countryness, and I look forward to getting to hear what y'all say and answer anything you have to answer.
Sounds good.
I love that you talk about having to take medication for your physical issues as well, because some people, we've talked about it multiple times, how some people are like, you don't need medication for that, you're just sensitive, or you don't need that. And it's like, when you go to the doctor and they say you have strep throat, you know what you do? You go to CVS, you pick up those big pink pills, and you know what? You take one a day.
Yeah.
That's what you do until you feel better. And the thing is with mental illness is, you can't just feel better taking one pill. Like, that's not how it works. You have to take it, and it messes with the chemicals in your head, and it balances them out to where you can just be a normal person.
Yes.
And I also wanted to talk about today the term mental illness. See, and that is, people don't like it because when they think of mental illness, their mind goes to people who are severely mentally ill, like schizophrenia.
And even with schizophrenia, they're not always
they're not
ill. It is a mental health challenge or a mental health issue.
And that's why I want to talk about it, is like these people, when they hear mental illness, the first thing that comes in their head is like some crazy person.
Serial killer.
Yeah, like a serial killer. And they're like, oh my gosh, she has mental illness. So then they put that, like, they use it as a negative term. I don't view it as a negative term, because in my eyes, when I think of mental illness, I think of something as not simple, but something as little as anxiety up to something as big as bipolar or schizophrenia or manic episodes and stuff like that. And I feel like that is something as a world we need to start just normalizing, because mental illness is the same thing as saying like chronic illness. I mean, I'm not saying every type of cancer isn't bad, but some are worse than others. Some, like mesothelioma, chemo doesn't work. It helps for a little bit, and then it takes over your body, and you die. With leukemia, if you catch it early, you can, usually with chemo, you can get better and you can recover. And I think it's the same thing with mental illness. It can be something like anxiety that if you catch it early and you start treating it, it can become easier to deal with. And then something like schizophrenia, it can be something worse. But no one realizes that everything starts out small and things don't escalate. And the reason people let them escalate is because they don't want to ask for help, because they don't want people to think they're crazy.
Right.
And they're not. And I think that's like a big thing that people don't understand.
And I think, too, we've talked about being a hypochondriac. With me, having mental health young, when my parents didn't understand what was wrong with me, I didn't know how to say what was wrong with me because I didn't understand it myself. So I resorted into, I don't feel good. I don't know. I just don't feel good. What's wrong with you? My stomach hurts.
I'm tired.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, let's take her to the doctor. And we have all these tests and they go, there's nothing wrong with her. And then you're like, but I don't feel good, but something's wrong with me. I'm having headaches. And then you go Google, I'm having headaches. And then you think, oh gosh, I have a brain tumor. And it leads to destruction when the problem's not handled right off the bat. But a lot of people don't know how to say, they don't know what anxiety means. They just know that they get nervous, or they get a headache, or they get hives all over them, or whatever. They don't actually know what it means. And learning how to know your body and what your body is trying to tell you, because it will make you physically sick, because it's made me physically sick before.
Oh yeah, that's why I think everyone should have to go to therapy. I think it should be like your checkups. You have your yearly checkups. You have your every 6 month dentist visit. I think you should go to therapy every 6 months.
Do you know, every time I go to the doctor lately, I don't know if y'all have been to the doctor lately, but every time I go, they go, do you feel, I'm trying to think the right words. Do you feel safe at home? Have you noticed that?
Yes, we've had similar questioning at the doctor, because they are starting to understand that people aren't talking about things that are actually happening.
Right.
And bless their little hearts, they are trying. Unfortunately, the methods that they're utilizing often are not effective. And like you're talking about going to the doctor and you're talking about going to therapy. What I do is I work at a peer center for people like you and like you and like me who have mental health struggles, who may have, maybe you're taking your medication but you still have some anxiety, or you want to learn some new coping skills. You can come to the peer center and you can do activities that range from talking about the traumas that you've been through in life, to talking about ways to get through anxiety, to learning a new craft, to painting, to listening to music, all while being around people who have been through stuff, so that they are, and we've also been through training. It's not just that we've been through real life trials. We've been through training so that we can learn better how to deal with the everyday somebody else's anxiety, because what affects you may not affect me.
Right.
I am an equal extrovert and introvert. That confuses people, because I have no shyness. I have no anything. I can talk in front of a billion people, but if you put me at a small gathering with 20 to 25 people, I'm going to be in the corner or outside. Because
we talked about us being the exact same way.
and I joke that I'm an introverted extrovert or an extrovert introvert. And when you go to a peer center, you're dealing with other people who are just like you, who don't want to be somewhere with 25 people, but also don't want to sit one-on-one with a person and have to start, because nobody wants to bring your own PowerPoint so you can catch the person up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, let me see somebody where should we start? Pick a slide and I can go back and forward. And I want to say, when you were talking about physical illness and cancer and other illnesses, I'm diabetic. I also have fibromyalgia and other odd things that they're still trying to figure out exactly what it is. It turns out that I may have some sort of weird hypermobility thing, which means that though I'm a big girl and I am not a flexible or balanced person. I'm extremely bendy like a pretzel, and that's not a good thing, and I hurt frequently. So I have to take medications for my physical pain and for my diabetes, as well as for my mental health challenges. I have been on and off medication for 30 years for my mental health. And the last time that I did not stay on my mental health medications was about 10 years ago, 10 to 12 years ago. I, over the course of time, learned why I need to stay on my medication. I don't make as good choices. I don't, that impulse factor is tenfold when I am not taking a medication that helps control the chemicals in my brain. I battled a family who wanted me to have a certain diagnosis, but I don't have that diagnosis. I can see there are similarities to that diagnosis in what I deal with, but one of the things that most people do have that most people don't talk about is PTSD.
Yeah.
There are, I jokingly refer to them as little traumas and big traumas. We all know what the big traumas are. That's the big impact thing that really caused you to stop. But there are the little traumas. Like, Judy didn't feel good. Judy didn't know what was wrong. They took her to doctors. I didn't get to go to doctors. They told me to just, it'll be okay, here, have some Tylenol. I didn't get to go to doctors for a lot of the problems. And one of the physical things that my doctors are now figuring out at 51 years of age is that the problems that I am having, I actually have been having since I was a child. I have extreme ADHD. I am also on the autism spectrum, but I cannot actually get diagnosed with that because of the PTSD. But I have had contact with people who knew me young enough to say, first they were, you're not on the spectrum. You were just quirky and fun and unique, and then I sent them paperwork that you would normally give a teacher to do and evaluate, that would go back to the psychiatrist or psychologist to evaluate for PTSD, and both of them called me back, and these are both teachers, to say, you're correct. I think you may be on the spectrum. And I'm like, well, I figured I was. But nobody would, but you can't get a diagnosis. So one of the things that helped me with, and I'm getting to a point, I promise, is that I found out that all those years that people kept telling me that I was depressed, and I couldn't explain that I'm not depressed. Something's wrong, but I'm not depressed. Mm-hmm. I had generalized anxiety because of the ADHD and the autism things that were coming into play that I did not know how to deal with or display properly and or mask. Masking is a horrible thing that people are forced to have to do. I love to have Kool-Aid take your shoes off, because that is so awesome to be able to take your mask off, take your time, and be who you are.
Right.
Because that's the only way we're ever going to be able to stop the stigma. Ava Max has a great song that says, so what, you're weird, so am I. I'm like, yes, that's like one of my theme songs right now. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. I would like to ask you a question, because you have said that you've been on and off medication. Would you say that, have you been on like the same one, or have they put you on different ones over the course of all these years?
Yes.
The same one?
No.
Different ones, okay.
Most of the time it's the same one because of my choice. They have offered other medications at times. Oh, we've got this one and it should work, because they kept trying to treat me for depression. And I wasn't depressed.
Because they didn't know how to treat you.
Right.
And I think that's a big problem now, is that I'm not saying all doctors are like this, but some want to just get it over with, boom, here's your medicine, go.
Right.
And what they don't realize, what some people don't realize, I went to my physician to go get tested for ADHD, and he would not test me. Mm-hmm. He said that you need to get your anxiety under control. And I was like, can't. When I feel like you can agree with this, and you can too, when you start medicine for anxiety and depression, it takes a while to get the right one figured out.
Yes.
I started one, I got super sick and dizzy couldn't even drive with it. Second one I tried, it did nothing for me. The one I'm on now, it works. It works great. So the thing is, what I wanted to like get to was, how do you think with the more research people have put into mental health and the medication, do you think the medication has gotten better over the years, or would you say it stayed the same?
I actually am taking, I've been on other medications. I'm taking the exact same prescription, different milligram, than I started, which was the first one that I started taking when I was in my early 20s. So, yeah, close to 30 years, I'm on the same one.
What I
I went through several and every time back to the same.
what I struggled with, and I talked about this in one of our podcasts, is when doctors don't do their research to know what all you have. Like, for example, Judy has bipolar, which I've not said out loud, but I have bipolar, and I have bipolar 1. Bipolar 1 means that you're manic for more than 5 days at a time. They focused on that, and that is it, and began to put me on a bipolar medication, but they did not know that I had an eating disorder. So what happened is they put me on lithium. I stopped eating. My blood got toxic. I'm in the ER on dialysis because they did not know that I had an eating disorder. So it's important when you go to the doctor to disclose all the things that you're dealing with, because it is a combination with when they're prescribing a medication to you. They have to look at all the elements, and if something's left out, it can hurt you. I almost died. I literally was on dialysis for 2 weeks in ER, in the ICU, because my blood got toxic from starving myself on lithium.
I think it is a good thing that you say, like, you need to be honest, because I agree with that. I will say my psychiatrist, I found her on Doctor on Demand, and she was amazing. I had a sit-down session with her for about an hour and a half. We talked about everything I've been through, and she was like, I think you have this and this, and it was depression and generalized anxiety disorder. Now, we meet every like month to just see how my medication's going, and she told me that, because I've always told her, like, I've had trouble focusing. She's like, okay, well, let's try to get an ADHD test. Well, I don't go to high school anymore because I fast track, so I don't know if y'all do that in Georgia, but I go through college classes instead of high school classes. So I'm a senior, but I go to our community college.
Yeah.
So I don't have teachers that see me every single day for a year. So they can't fill out, usually for ADHD, I don't know if you know, they give kids these packets. Their parents fill them out, their teachers fill them out. First off, I don't think that's right. I think that is just ridiculous, because your teacher doesn't know you if you're only in there for 45 minutes out of the day.
The reason they do that, I actually know this. The reason that they do that is because there are many, many instances, and I have one of my 2 children, both of them have ADHD. They inherited it, thank you. You have the best to your children. Because your children tend to, most children, mask at school. They work all day behaving. They're sitting in class and they're doing whatever they're supposed to, or they're trying their hardest, and then they come home and they are holy terrors.
Yeah.
They come home and they run through the door and they're screaming and they're hungry and there's so much going on, and you're like, oh, what in the... And then you talk to the teacher like, oh, they are such an angel. They are so helpful and so sweet. And you're like, I want to change jobs with you. You come to my house, because that's why they fill out papers from the teachers and from the parents, because there's also, there are instances where it's the other way around. You have a child that is a total nightmare in class, but is perfect at home. I was one of that variety more than, wasn't necessarily a nightmare, but I never had a conduct under a U. I mean, above a U, which is unsatisfactory when I was in school. I was always on the conduct for whatever. Usually it was does not pay attention, wanders around aimlessly, argues with teachers, and that was my history. But at home, I didn't argue a whole lot. I just did what I was told and stayed quiet and to myself, and so that's why they have that two system, and I can understand it for your benefit, for your point. It's not very helpful to you at this age. But if you had been 7 or 8 when they first started suspecting something, it may have been at that time.
I was referred to get one of those tests done when I was 11, and we did that. But the teacher that filled it out was completely against every medication, ADHD, didn't believe in any of it. So they checked like every single thing. And I will say I did talk in class a lot. I've always made great grades, but I would talk. I wouldn't listen that well. But they were marking that I would. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like, right. I see that. So then I went to my physician, and he was like, no, I will not test you. It's not like a simple blood test, blah, blah, blah. And was just really rude.
I anger about those people.
Yeah, well, that was the thing is that I went in there because, like, when you're in college and you're taking 3-hour-long classes, it's hard. And, I'm applying to college this year, and I need, like, a good ACT score. And every time I take the ACT, like, I freak out because I can't focus. So I got referred to a psychologist down in Birmingham. We did an intake appointment, and then I took the 3-hour-long test. I had a full IQ panel ran, and he was like, you have it. So I've went untreated for this for now 17 years, and I'm just now getting to start medication for it. And I'm just now getting told, like, yeah, the thing you've thought since you were 5, your parents, everyone's thought you've had, you do have it. But your doctor didn't want to do his job and do it because you're seeing someone else for your anxiety. And that was kind of like, it was hard because, like, there's all these things I want to do, and my school wouldn't even help me sign up for accommodations on my ACT because they were like, well, you're not having problems in class, you're fine. I have a very hardworking attitude, and I know Judy can relate to this because I know her so well. It doesn't matter how bad I feel, I'm going to achieve it, because if I don't, I feel like a failure. So I've always made all A's. And it didn't matter how depressed I was. Like, I would get out of bed, go to school, and I'd come right back and lay in bed and study. But they pretty much just kind of swept me under the rug because I had good grades. But if someone would have went in that made D's and F's because they couldn't focus, they would have coddled them and helped them. Mm-hmm. And that's just something I don't agree with.
Right. And it's harder on females because we learn early how to look well, how to not be a problem.
Well, it's like you're taught, how are you today? Well, I'm well. I'm good. Well, let me just tell you, I'm not well today. You're right. Taught to say that.
Yes.
Because nobody really wants to hear it.
Right. And what's worse is when you have the little traumas of your family saying nobody cares how you feel. Just say you're fine and move on. Yeah. So you internalize that nobody cares how I feel.
Or here she goes. She's a hypochondriac. Something else is wrong with her.
I will say this: if you can't be a hypochondriac if you go to the doctor and you actually have what you researched.
Yeah.
You.
I'm the biggest hypochondriac you will ever meet.
I've been accused of that most of my life, and it turns out it's just autism.
Yeah. She got the touch of the tism.
I got the rheumatism and the autism.
I'm a bad hypochondriac. I was having headaches and my back was hurting, and I done thought I had lymphoma. Yeah, and it was so bad. Like, I had to go to, like, my orthopedic, and he's like, you're fine. I had to go to the ER because my back was hurting so bad that I couldn't breathe. So I get there, and they're like, oh, no, you're fine. I was like, what? I was like, no. So, yeah, I definitely am a very bad hypochondriac.
Yeah.
And but it's usually because you're feeling other things, and your body's physically hurting from your mental illness. Yeah.
And then your anxiety kicks in, and it's like, oh, my gosh, what if something's actually wrong?
That was actually one of the first diagnoses that I have, and it is still a correct diagnosis. I've gotten many that are not correct, is general anxiety disorder. I will go ahead and just say I take Zoloft, and I'm going to say that because Zoloft, I remember the packaging at the time. This was a long time ago, 94, 95, long time ago, and it was saying what Zoloft was used to treat for. It was used to treat general anxiety disorder, PTSD, OCD, anxiety due to ADHD, and there was one more, and I don't remember what it was because it didn't affect me. Like, it was like, well, I got 4 out of 5. I guess this is the right medication. But throughout time, I had gotten different diagnoses at things, and often those forms that other people fill out that don't get answered properly because they have their own agenda. I actually have one diagnosis that is not correct. They diagnosed me with bipolar, but they couldn't explain it to me because I'm way more than 5 days in a row manic. I'm 95% of the time manic, and the other 5 I'm probably staring into space trying to stop all of the wheels from spinning. Mm-hmm. That's not bipolar. It's not bipolar 2 or 2B or any of the others.
A lot of times PTSD will mimic that.
Correct.
And that's what happened with me.
I have learned in the last 5 or 6 years the differences in how PTSD affects all of the other things and tends to. So it's really messed up because you have a huge trauma that messes up your life, and then you have this huge trauma that plays fun and games in your brain.
Yeah.
And messes up other things that could be helping.
Well, my psychiatrist, sometimes I'll go, I think I'm manic. I can't stop. I'm like going 90-0 with Snead's Farmhouse, and people go, how does she keep going? I'm like, oh, if they only knew I had bipolar, they would understand. But she's like, Judy, you're not manic. It's your personality. Right. And I'm like, this is what? But what happens is when you get that diagnosis, when you get lots of energy, you're like, oh God, here we go. Put your seatbelt on.
Right. Oh, I do get hypermanic, but
I had to learn that was I'm not manic. That's my personality.
Right.
And my doctor said to me, she said, Judy, now my doctor's been a doctor for a long time, and she goes, I know 2 people in my entire life that can go to sleep manic. One of them is a marathon runner, and the second one is you. And it's because I literally wear myself out that I just fall out. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I can't tell if it's mania or if it's just me or what.
My ADHD, before I actually am on medication for my ADHD. Previously, I have I have a history of a drug addiction that I self-medicated myself. And oddly enough, when I first began to self-medicate, most people thought that you're doing so well. You seem to have everything under control, which is a huge, huge, huge thing. If you notice your friends suddenly becoming under control and they're not taking medication that they can tell you about, check a little bit further with them. There's something going on inside. But because of that history, I've been playing for 5 years. It took me 3 years to be willing to try to take something for my ADHD.
Yeah, because you were scared of addiction.
I was, yes.
Yeah.
But I also, turns out I have narcolepsy, which explains all the times that I would just fall asleep in the middle of any time. So
I remember that.
I needed to take a medication that was for staying awake and for attention. And I use Ritalin for that because Ritalin is a narcolepsy medication as well as an ADHD medication. I research everything.
I like that you say that, though, because some people...
I
will say we usually have a class like every year. Usually in high school they'll have someone come in and they'll talk about suicide and the warning signs. But I will say that I think the warning signs are so much different than they say. Because they're like, when they say that they're joking about they're going to kill themselves, saying that you're going to kill yourself has become such a joke. It's awful. Yes. I will say, I've said it so many times, and I do say it, and it's so awful for me to say that when there are literally people that are killing themselves.
Yes.
And you tell kids that, and you tell kids, well, usually if they're hanging their head low or they're sleeping in class, no. I've went to school multiple days, dressed up, looking all pretty, nothing but smiles, and then went home and thought about killing myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can't sit here and tell kids, oh, it's gonna, that girl over there, she always hangs her head down low. She probably suicidal. You should go check on her. No. You need to check on everybody.
You don't fit the mold. Like, you're hyper, you're ambitious, you're outgoing, you're the beauty queen, you're the one that gets involved, you're not scared of anything. So, like, you don't fit that mold.
that they create.
Yes,
Yeah.
that they create that looks
Not
like
true.
suicide. It doesn't look like. And so then when somebody like you or me tries to just kill themselves, they're like, wait a minute, she's the homecoming queen. What the heck?
Right.
I mean,
well,
why?
didn't Miss America, was it Miss America from a
yes.
couple
I
years
would not
ago?
know.
Yes.
She killed
She
herself.
killed
She took her
herself.
own life. I think like 2 years ago, but she was a
Yes.
Miss America in the past. And it's like, that's why we started the podcast is, whether I have this huge platform or not, but I can show you like a pageant queen,
Yeah.
a successful YouTuber and business owner can struggle with these issues the same as somebody who has nothing is struggling to pay rent next month.
And honestly, I will say, I have met a ton of folks. I've been homeless. I've been in a lot of different situations. That's not where you find people who are thinking of suicide. They don't know where their food's coming from. They just keep moving. Those are not the ones. The ones that are successful, the ones that are trying to take care of business every single day, those are the ones that tend to be more stressed and have more concerns that end up making them think that that might be an option to just not be here anymore. I actually have a tattoo. I have the suicide awareness and prevention tattoo on my hand, and I've had that for many years because it's all about the portrayal of things, and it's not about what people tend to. If people would look 5 minutes past what they see, they would see so much more. But we're trained to see this, and then we walk away, and we never see when the podcast ends that you may take your glasses off and go like this, because it's stressful to be on. And so when you're not on and you take that moment to be off, that's what most people never get to see. And I think it's important that people get to see, should be allowed to see, us demask and relax. And I'm one of those, I can handle anything, any crisis, anytime. We'll make sure, Judy cut her leg off. Come on, we got it. Get the leg. We're going to the hospital, and everything will be fine.
Sore ups.
Right. Now, once she's recovering and doing well, that's when I'm on.
That's when you're gonna
break
take
down and start
Yes,
crying.
that makes sense.
And because that is the way what I've learned through life to handle things. Pardon my hand for a second.
No, you're fine.
It's part of those.
If you
lifelong
watch the
issues.
podcast, my hands are like this the whole literal
a-
hour I'm here.
I was a hand wringer. That's the GAD.
It is. It's like if you're just, I'm like picking on my scabs. No, I like that you say that because, sometimes people look at these like really famous people and they're like, oh my gosh, they look like they just live the best life. And then I know you saw a post this morning that you sent me about a news anchor. I don't know if she was a news anchor or meteorologist. Yes, that had posted about her medication that she takes for her mental health. And we both thought that was great because for someone with that big of a platform to share that,
I think it's awesome.
it's great because others usually look at those people and they're like, how are you doing so good? Like, how are you getting up, going on all these vacations, all these trips, going to work every day, and you're just fine? And realistically, they're not.
Right.
And that's like what I'm so excited about getting to go. I'm going to compete in a pageant, and if I win, I go to Miss Alabama.
I'm so excited.
So I really want to be able to go to Miss Alabama and even win at 17 just to show, like, I want to talk about mental health. I don't care about a crown. With one of those platforms, you can reach so many people and so many young girls.
Yes.
And I know it's not just about young girls. Boys suffer with mental illness a lot too. But I will say, they're playing with the pigs. At a younger age, girls are told, you're just sensitive. Oh, you're on your period. That's what it is. It's that time of month. That's why you're upset. And that's one thing I've always been told. Like, you go to the doctor, you have any pain at all, pregnancy test.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's one thing I want to show these younger girls. When you're feeling like this, you need to tell someone. And if they don't understand, go to someone else.
Yes.
And go until someone gets you the help you need.
Keep talking. I will say this. Um, One thing I have learned, especially as I've gotten older, um, between 17 and 50, um, your hormones do affect your
Oh,
mental health.
yes.
I actually um, talked we operate a warm line, and I take calls when I'm on shift to help people deal with whatever's going on that they're anxious, that just need somebody to talk to. And the girl was just like, oh my god, I'm having an anxiety attack, da, da, da. And I got talking about her, and I got to ask her some questions, because she was like, I'm like, tell me what this feels like for you to have a hand. What does that mean that you're having an anxiety attack? And she started describing it, and I said, I'm going to ask the these questions. How close to you are your cycle? And she said, I just start any day. I've been PMSing. I said, okay, what are your PMS go-to foods? And she told me, and I said, any chance you're gluten intolerant? And she went, no, but I'm lactose intolerant. She gave herself an anxiety attack based on what she was eating for as a coping mechanism. So we talked about ways of using different things to deal with the same, so instead of getting the blizzard, why don't you go ahead and have some
still
dark
get the
chocolate
blizzard.
and almonds? And
I'll still get the blizzard every day of the week.
I'm diabetic, and my favorite food is cake and ice cream.
Girl, everyone's favorite food. He's diabetic, and he loves, like, anything.
Yeah, you just have to learn. You learn the coping skills. You learn how to deal with those things. I get very aggravated when someone dismisses someone's problems due to, oh, it's because you're a girl and you have hormones.
Yeah.
That's not accurate. One of the latest research things that I was finding out about the ADHD and autism is that the nerve endings in your brain, and this also has to do with my hypermobility and why my arm shakes. The nerve endings in ADHD and autism and are constantly doing this, looking for their dopamine and their information, whereas all those weird regular people
couldn't be us, could not be us.
They're good. They're just over there like, I learned something. I'm good. And literally, like, when you say, what are you thinking about? They're literally not thinking of anything. And if you ask me, what am I thinking about? I'm like, on which page? Because
yeah, like, so we have to go do this today, and then, like, tomorrow, what am I going to eat tomorrow? I don't even have my outfit picked out. It's like stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just awful.
Everything. And like, I'm getting, trying to work on getting a house, and I've already remodeled it all in my head. And made the vision board and all of the everything. And it's, so yeah, we have way more happening because of those little searching neurons.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a lot more prevalent than people are aware of, and it's a lot, and it affects your mental health in ways that we're still just finding out about. And I love that y'all have this podcast.
This is our
fourth
episode.
It's our fourth episode.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got to be here.
It's definitely a lot of fun, and we've both had people just contact us and be like, you've helped us in so many ways, and it warms my heart to know that, because Judy had told me some parents came up to her and said that they referred this to their daughter, and it's like, I got diagnosed when I was 11, and I had not a lot of people there for me at that age, because the kids in my grade thought that I was just crazy, and some of them still look at me like that. And now it's like, I'm in a position now with my mental health that I can help kids that were my age or younger.
Yes.
And these kids now know, hey, I can reach out to mom or dad. Yes. And then their mom and dads watch the podcast, and they're like, this is how I help my kids. Yeah. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing that we have social media to where you can do stuff like this.
And I think it's so cool that she's 17 and I'm 52, and I can tell it from my age, and she can tell it from her age, but it's so similar. Even though our age is so different, we both understand each other.
Yeah, there's a lot more understanding. Again, if people just keep talking,
you have to keep talking.
And I love that, because I'm like, y'all told me when I was little I had to stop talking. No, the problem was I didn't keep talking about the important things.
Right.
And I recommend that.
Well, and you probably can relate to this because you understand we both are related.
We're related.
But when a mental illness is put away side, it just escalates. And where it escalates is to crazy land almost.
And it's like,
and to come back to reality and go, I was just had anxiety, or I just had,
Right.
whatever the diagnosis is.
Right.
It's like if it was treated when
Right.
we first said it, we wouldn't be in the shape we were in at 52 years old,
Right.
51, 52 years
Right.
old.
Which is
And like, if y'all had just listened to
Right.
us, if you had just listened, we wouldn't be in the shape we're in.
which is why that I do for a living.
Yeah.
I do it for a living. I was doing it for free, and now I get paid. I get to do it every day in a job.
But I think it's kind of like, I know part of you wishes they would have diagnosed you earlier, but
Yes.
in my opinion, like, that's how God works, is we don't understand why he does the things he does, but it's always for a reason. And now we're all sitting right here. Every decision that you have ever made, every decision a doctor's ever made with your mental health has led you to this moment right here. And now all the people that are in your same exact boat can listen to this and find out what to do, and they can feel a little bit of ease, like, oh my gosh, I wasn't crazy. 2 weeks ago when I went to the doctor and they told me nothing was wrong, like, they had that happen too. So it's just like, it's things like that really make you just so thankful for God and all he does for everyone.
Well, let's just talk about this podcast for just a second.
Yes.
Today, normally, Haley and I record on Sundays.
Okay.
She asked to record today. I said, okay. She said 2:30 or 2 o'clock, and I said, okay. Then I go make an appointment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my appointment's going to last 2.5 hours. I have my cousin's come in with her family. Oh my gosh. And then I'm thinking, on the way over here, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to spend time with my cousin along with doing a podcast with Haley? And it was meant to be.
Yeah.
The whole time I thought it was total chaos.
Because we
And
both
it's
had
meant to
so
be.
much going on this
You are saying
weekend.
something that people
Yeah.
need to hear. And we need to hear
Yes.
her.
Yeah, it's
know?
definitely, God works in such
It
mysterious
does.
ways.
And I had actually had a couple of people like, you need to have a podcast, because I'm not regular, and I'm really happy about that. And so I'm really excited to be here, because now I've got the little thing, and there may be a cousin podcast in Georgia soon.
No, I think if anyone out there wants to start a podcast, I think it is definitely something you should do, because if you're really passionate about something and you think you can help people,
Yeah.
even if it's just one person, that's more than you are helping.
And note that you might be headed in one direction, and then who knows where God's going to take you. Like my Snead's Farmhouse, never did I think about having an animal a day in my life, more or less a pig or a donkey. And here I am, and he's using me through Snead's Farmhouse to meet you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and another thing I think is crazy is, like, I started volunteering here right after COVID, right? Somewhere around there. And, your farm wasn't that big.
Right.
I mean, we hadn't gotten boyfriend yet. We still didn't have some of those chickens that are out there. We didn't have the alpacas. I remember when we talked about you getting them, and it was like, it went from that, and now she has 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. She has all these people that follow her and look up to her, and it's like, and it makes me just so happy for you.
I think that I had less than 2,000 people following me on Facebook when you came here.
Yeah.
And you've been able to see what God does and bring us together, and it's just been amazing.
Like, I remember when we got excited, because I remember you were wanting help with YouTube, but neither of us really knew how to do
Right?
it. And she's like,
That's my part.
I posted a video, but, like, no one really watched it. And I'm like, well, it's okay. We'll just keep posting them. And then now you post videos, every 3 days, and you get thousands of views. And then you have all these cool people. We've been on TV together.
Yes.
When Fred Hunter came, And you've had more people come. Since then, you had the Chamber of Commerce come and cut a ribbon. Like, you've had all these crazy things get to happen, and it's all because of God.
I know. It's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. Well, I'm so glad that we got to talk today, and you are a blessing to us today.
It was definitely great to meet
awesome.
you.
And I'm so glad to get to meet you too, Haley. And I want to say this to anybody who wants to say anything negative about the pageant programs. And I want to say this, on the other side of my family, I have 3 cousins that were in the pageant program, that all 3 of them got their college 100% paid for through the pageants that they participated in. So I just want to encourage anyone, I don't care if you don't think that you're pageant material, you are a pageant material.
They're so much fun.
I never did pageants, but I have a crown in my car above my rear view mirror to remind myself that anyone can do anything if they just want to.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. And
just keep moving.
that's just something that's great about pageants. If you're thinking about doing a pageant, you can go on Facebook, Safari, look up pageants near you. I promise there might be a little rinky-dank one down the street. Go get a cheap dress, just throw on some hair and makeup, and just go have fun.
Yes.
They're so much fun. You get to express yourself in how you wear your hair, how you do your makeup, how you dress, and even if you're a tomboy, I've watched Kim of Queens, and they have transferred so many into pageant girls, and it's just so fun.
Yes.
So yeah, well, it's definitely been fun with everybody.
It has. Thank y'all.
And would you like to remind everyone about our giveaway?
We are doing a giveaway. It's going to be a Cracker Barrel gift card for 2. And it's not just the meal, it's the drink and a dessert. So for 2. And all you have to do is
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
I'll see you soon.
We'll see y'all. Bye. Okay, what am I saying? What am I doing? You hear how moody he is?
Yeah, he's different today.
Yeah, I told him I hope he fell and busted his nose.
Today.
I think he's got a little bit of sass in his britches.